Running an AI model on your own machine sounds like an advanced project. It is not. It is genuinely about a 10-minute job, and at the end you will have a real model answering your questions on your hardware with no account, no card on file, and no internet connection required. This is the exact path I put every beginner on before we touch anything fancier. So let me walk you through it start to finish, the install, the first model, the first chat, and then how to call that model from your own code. I will also be honest about where the easy path quietly hides things, because it does. First, let me set expectations so you do not feel lied to halfway through. Local AI is not magic and it is not instant brilliance. The models you run at home are smaller than the giant cloud ones, so they are a little less sharp on hard tasks. But for a huge amount of everyday work, asking questions, summarizing, rewriting, drafting, light coding help, they are genuinely good and they are completely yours. Nothing leaves your machine. That privacy and that independence is the whole point. So if your goal is a private, offline, no recurring cost assistant for ordinary tasks, this is exactly the right starting place. The tool we are using is called Ollama. Think of it as the thing that handles all the annoying parts for you. Downloading models, fitting them onto your GPU, and giving you a simple way to talk to them. There are more powerful and more flexible tools out there, and once you outgrow this, you can move to them. But Ollama is where everyone should start, because it removes about 90% of the friction that makes people give up on local AI in the first 10 minutes. It runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and the experience is nearly identical across all three. Step 1 is the install, and it is boring in the best way. You go to the Ollama website, download the installer for your operating system, and run it. On Windows and Mac, it is a normal installer. Click through it, done. On Linux, it is a single command you paste into the terminal. There is no account to create, there is no email to confirm. When it finishes, Ollama is running quietly in the background as a service, waiting for you to ask it to do something. That is the entire setup. No configuration files, no environment variables, nothing to tune before you can use it. Step 2 is pulling your first model, and this is where you make one real decision. You open a terminal and type Ollama run, then the name of a model. I tell beginners to start with a small, well-rounded model in the 3 to 8 billion parameter range, because it will fit on almost any modern machine and respond quickly. The first time you run that command, Ollama downloads the model, which is a few gigabytes, so it takes a minute or two depending on your connection. After that, the model lives on your disk and never needs downloading again. Every future run starts instantly, so that one slow first pull buys you permanent offline access. Once the download finishes, something quietly important happens. You get a prompt, you type a question, and the model answers you right there in the terminal, generated entirely on your own hardware. No request went to anyone's server. You can literally turn off your internet and it keeps working. The first time people see that, it clicks in a way that no explanation does. You are not renting access to AI anymore, you are running it. That shift from renting to owning is the thing this whole channel is really about, and it starts with this one command. Now let me be honest about speed, because this is where the easy path hides something. How fast the model responds depends almost entirely on whether it is running on your GPU or falling back to your CPU. If the model fits in your graphics card's memory, the words stream out fast, faster than you can read. If the model is too big for your card, Ollama will still run it, but it spills over onto the CPU and system memory, and it gets slow, painfully slow. So if your first model feels sluggish, that is almost always the reason. The fix is simple. Use a smaller model or a more aggressively compressed version of the same one so it fits on the card. That brings up the question everyone asks, which model should I actually use? Here is the simple framework. Start small, prove it works fast, then size up until it gets slow, and step back one. On a card with 8 GB of memory, you can comfortably run good 7 and 8 billion parameter models. On a card with more, you can reach for larger ones. Ollama lets you pull different versions of the same model at different compression levels, and the smaller files fit more easily. You do not need to understand all of that on day one. Just know that if it is slow, go smaller, and if it is fast and you want more quality, go bigger until it stops being fast. Let me show you the part that turns this from a toy into a tool. Talking to the model in the terminal is nice, but the real power is that Ollama also runs a local server in the background. That means your own scripts and programs can send questions to the model and get answers back, all on your own machine. It speaks a simple, well-known interface, the same shape that the big cloud AI services use. So code you write to talk to your local model looks almost identical to code that talks to a cloud one. That is a gift, because it means you can prototype against your free local model and switch to a cloud model later by changing almost nothing. Here is what that looks like in practice. You write a few lines in Python, point them at the local address where Ollama is listening, send your prompt, and read back the response. No API key, no per request charge. You can run that script 1,000 times in a loop, and it costs you nothing but electricity. That is the moment local AI stops being a novelty and starts being infrastructure. I have automations that hit my local model hundreds of times a day for small tasks, classifying things, cleaning up text, drafting first passes. Doing that against a paid service would add up. Doing it locally is effectively free after the hardware you already own. Let me give you a few real tips that save beginners a lot of frustration. First, models stay loaded in memory for a short while after you use them, then unload to free the card. So the first question after a pause feels slow because the model is loading, and the next ones are fast. That is normal, not a bug. Second, you can have several models installed at once and switch between them by name, which is great for trying things, but only one runs at a time on a typical card. Third, the models live in a folder on your disk, and each is a few gigabytes, so if you go on a downloading spree, keep an eye on your free space. These are small things, but they are exactly the things that trip people up. Let me walk through what a real first session looks like, beat by beat, so nothing surprises you. You open your terminal, you type the run command with a small model name, and you wait through the one-time download. Then a prompt appears and you type something simple, like asking it to explain a concept or summarize a paragraph you paste in. The words stream back, you ask a follow-up, and it remembers the conversation because the context carries. When you are done, you type the exit command and you are back at your normal terminal. The model is still installed, ready instantly next time. That whole loop, run, chat, exit, is the core rhythm, and it is genuinely all most people need to know to start using local AI every day. Let me give you a few commands worth knowing beyond the basic run, because they make the tool feel a lot more capable. There is a command to list every model you have installed, which is handy once you have collected a few. There is a command to remove a model you no longer want, which matters because each one takes gigabytes of disk, and there is a way to see information about a model, its size, and its settings. None of these are complicated. They are short and memorable, and knowing them turns Ollama from a thing you poke at into a thing you actually manage. Spend 5 minutes learning those few commands, and you will feel in control of your local setup instead of just hoping it works. Here is a feature that elevates this from a toy to something personal, and people miss it. You can customize a model's behavior by giving it a standing instruction that applies to every conversation. You write a short file that says, in effect, you are this kind of assistant, you respond in this style, you focus on these things, then you build a personalized version of the model from that. Now every time you talk to your custom version, it already behaves the way you want without you repeating yourself. I have a few of these, one tuned to be terse and technical for quick lookups, one tuned to draft in a particular voice. It is the difference between a generic chatbot and an assistant shaped around how you actually work, and it costs nothing to set up. Let me cover the part that connects local AI to the wider world of tools, because this is where it gets powerful. A lot of the popular graphical chat interfaces and coding assistants can point at your local Ollama instead of a paid cloud service. They speak the same simple interface, so you tell the app to use your local address, and suddenly that nice interface is running on your free local model. That means you do not have to live in the terminal. You can have a polished chat window or your code editor's AI features, all powered by the model on your own machine. So the path is, start in the terminal to prove it works, then plug a friendlier interface on top once you know what you are doing. You get both the ownership and the nice experience. Let me give you the honest troubleshooting checklist, because something will go a little sideways on your first day, and I would rather you know the fixes than give up. If responses are slow, the model is probably too big for your card, so pull a smaller one. If a model fails to load, you may be low on either VRAM or disk space, so close other heavy programs and check your free storage. If the very first response after a pause is slow, but the rest are fast, that is just the model loading, which is normal. And if something seems broken in a deeper way, restarting the Ollama background service clears up a surprising number of odd states. Those 4 checks cover almost every problem a beginner hits, and none of them require any real expertise. I also want to name the honest limits so you go in clear-eyed. A local 7 or 8 billion parameter model is not going to match the very best cloud models on the hardest tasks. Complex multi-step reasoning, very long documents, deep niche knowledge, those are where the gap is real. So do not throw your hardest problem at your first local model and conclude that local AI is bad. It is not bad, it is just smaller. Use it for the large pile of ordinary tasks where it shines, and keep a cloud model around for the rare hard ones. That split, local for the common stuff and cloud for the hard stuff, is how I actually run things, and it is the honest answer. So let me pull the whole thing together into the path. Install Ollama, 1 download and done. Pull a small model with 1 command and wait for the first download. Chat with it in the terminal and watch it answer offline. If it is slow, go smaller so it fits your card. Then write a few lines of code to call the local server, and you have turned a chat toy into something your own programs can use for free. That is the entire on-ramp. Everything more advanced builds on top of exactly this. If you get one model running today, you will be ahead of most people who only ever talk about local AI without trying it. That hands-on path, the real setup with the honest trade-offs, is what I cover on this channel every week. If that is your thing, subscribe and follow along. Subscribe for more AI builds.